What's going on? Welcome to another edition of Deep Third. Coming before you guys again Sunday evenings. I guess for the next 8 weeks or so, or however many weeks are left. We're gonna be coming to you during Sunday night football. So take a little bit of time to come and check us out. Um, like last week, we're gonna kind of shorten this up a little bit. Give you guys some straight content for the next 30 minutes or so. And Fabe's gonna talk about a special segment that we do that are just for the viewers, and or anybody who listens to this after. Feel free to leave a comment. We will gladly answer any questions or any comments that you guys have on the next show. My name is Jarrell, aka Breeze. We got Mr. DP Dante and Mr. Fade. We're gonna let them introduce themselves, but just to let y'all know who we are. Dante, I throw it to you.
Yeah, man, I'm DP. Appreciate you guys jumping on, and I wanted to give a shout out to Mr. Sir Fresh himself. It's his ninth anniversary with him and his wife Ashley, and he still made it out and was able to jump on the show. So we appreciate that, and congratulations and happy anniversary.
Oh yeah, man! Happy anniversary, boy! You got a lucky wife to share you on this special day.
Oh yeah.
Well, what's going on, everybody? I'm Fade, one third of the Deep Third Sports Podcast, and so make sure you guys stay tuned because within the last 10 or so minutes of the show, we have a spot on the show called Deep Thought. It's where we take your guys' questions, comments, feedback, anything that you guys want to add. We take those messages and we give our deep thought about it. So make sure you guys stay tuned for the whole episode. To listen to that. And then also make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe button so that we can continue to grow organically and continue to share that value with other people out there.
Oh, and also, man, yes, as Fave said, man, hit that subscribe button if you didn't already right now. All right, so let's get right into it, man. So it's a lot of stuff that's going on in the sports world, the world that we care the most about. I know it's a lot of stuff going on in politics, but the sports world is going down. It's a lot of stuff that just went down. Clemson just played Notre Dame yesterday without Trevor Lawrence, and they lost. Number four beat the number one team in the nation. So with that being said, let's get right into it. So, in y'all opinion, how has COVID affected college sports and professional sports? Because we know what went on in the bubble for basketball. We also know that hockey kind of had some kind of bubble regiment as well, and baseball as well. But they were still able to finish out their seasons. But how is COVID affecting the seasons of these fall sports?
Go for
Mm.
it, Jarrell.
Well, I would have said it was very minimal, and then we had a monumental. I'm not going to say loss, but Clemson ended one of the longest win streaks regular season, um, home win streaks, and losing to Notre Dame. And I think when you look at it, I think we realize the star power and what that does. 2 weeks ago we had Clemson almost losing to Boston College. Now that would have been a little bit different than the number 14 beating the number one, but you also look at, you got a true freshman coming in there, you know, playing against Notre Dame, who, you know, every year I would say they're in the conversation at least preseason for best teams. Now, I think on the flip side, when you look at the totality of everything, even though they are high, even though they are number, you know, five, six, whatever. They never finish it out. Well, because of this COVID, Notre Dame wasn't able to keep the independent status and they had to join up with the ACC. Well, what that did was that upped the level of competition. Now, I think we look at Notre Dame and we've always said, oh, well, Notre Dame gets to pick who they want to play, what week they want to play, so that kind of takes away from the validation that they're a top team. Well, this year, obviously joining the ACC, they knew that they were going to play Clemson, um, and they did it, man. They they had a great game plan. Um, I will still say that if Trevor Lawrence was there, it would have been different. And with that, I'll say that COVID is it's wreaking havoc. I mean, the Pac-12 was supposed to start football, well, did start football this week, and in their first week, they had two games that were canceled. The Big Ten has had countless number of games right now canceled. And when you're looking at the totality of college right now, what's going to happen when we get down closer to those bowl games? And I'm not saying cancel just because they don't want to play. Apparently, there's a threshold that they have for number of scholarship players eligible. And if you don't meet that threshold, then the game is going to be canceled. Um, when we come into the pros, we see guys going in and out of this COVID. I think Marlon Humphreys for the Ravens, the guy they just gave 90 plus $1 million to, um, was placed on the COVID list. Baker Mayfield just got placed. Now, he didn't test positive, but he's on that list. Cam Newton obviously tested positive. Stephon Gilmore tested positive. So when you look at this and you're losing those guys, I think you can recover more in college than you can in the pros. Um, Looking at the financial side of it, you can only have so much talent financially in the NFL. College, again, you got, I'm not going to say his name, Ungalale, as a true freshman at Clemson, and not saying he's Trevor Lawrence, but he can kind of run things. Whereas if you're talking about a second string, you look at the Cowboys, they had a second string, skip the third string, all the way down to the fourth string, and they still can't win a game. Um, just because the talent drop off is so huge when you get into the pros and you talk about the elite level. Um, but nonetheless, I think when you look at everything, it's just wreaking havoc on sports, which is why the bubble makes sense. I know it's hard to do in football. I know they're talking about the playoffs, but you look at baseball, except for the final game, the World Series. Once they got into a bubble, there were no positive tests. In the NHL, there were zero positive tests. And in the NBA, when they were in the bubble, zero positive tests. Speaks for itself. If you're trying to put a quality product out, you got to find some way to enter that bubble.
True that. True
Babe, I throw it to you.
that. So the way I look at it, I haven't heard a lot, not because I don't tune into a whole bunch of it, but to me, what has been more impactful is pretty much when it impacts the major players for your team and stuff like that. To me, it seems like the games and the whatever games in the sport is still going on. However, like you alluded to Cam Newton, it doesn't seem like he's been right since then. And I don't know if COVID had anything to do with that or just in general it threw him off or whatever's going on, but it doesn't seem like he's right since then. And then you and I were talking, Dante, about with the whole Clemson and Notre Dame thing, and you mentioned about Trevor Lawrence not being in there, and now they can say, oh, well, we didn't have him and stuff like that, so now you could try to have those excuses. So to me, it seems like when it impacts the major players of the game is when it has a major impact. Other than that, to me, it seems like a lot of things are moving on and they're shifting. But I agree that they should have done more bubbles. and stuff like that. Like everything's online anyway, so you could have just had certain stadiums or whatever certain areas did the bubble, show it all on TV, and they probably still would have been making a ton of money. What it because I'm sure, or we all know that that's really all that they cared about was making sure that their product was still being put out. That's on every level, pro and
Right?
college. On every level, it was important for them to get their product out, and we know they would have been making a ton of money on ad deals and all that stuff anyway, even missing out on revenue of people coming into the stadium. Um, so I'm interested to see though how long have they talked about like the NBA season yet? I'm just wondering like when that's coming back.
December 22nd, I believe.
Yep.
Interesting.
Yep.
Quick
Wow.
turnaround.
Yep.
Wow. And is it going to still be in a bubble?
I didn't
Right
see anything about that.
right now, I think it's a no. Um, so just shortly on everything that I know, to answer your question, what they're gonna there's a couple proposals, and one of them is playing like a baseball style series where if you're gonna play the Rockets 3 times that year, you'll play them 3 times, but you'll play them all in a week.
Mm.
So instead of that travel da 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 da, that whole week or whatever, your 3 games are going to be them, however they break it up. If you play a team twice, so that's one of them. Another one is to keep it like regional as possible, um, where if you're going to play on the East Coast and you're coming from the West Coast, you'll play all the East Coast teams that you would play back to back to back, not back to back, but
Yeah.
again, next, instead of going East Coast coming back to the West Coast. So there's a lot of proposals out there as far as how they're going to get it to look. But yeah, I mean, it, sports as we know it is going to be very different, and they're only going to do 70, I think 72 games.
Oh
Um,
wow.
yeah, which is, I mean, that's going to be something of its own. But that's another thing to show. I mean, COVID is wreaking havoc. How do you how do you differentiate if you do go to that baseball style? Just real quick, how do you differentiate a team home or away? If I'm playing the Rockets and I got however many fans, what if my guys? Let's say LA goes to the Rockets and plays them. Well, that means that the Staples Center won't get James Harden inside their building,
Mm.
and if the Rockets play at LA, um, and that means that the Rockets facility isn't going to see LeBron James. And a lot of times that's when you can raise your ticket when
True.
those big ticket guys come through. So, it's just going to be weird to see how this whole thing with COVID goes. But that's to answer your question, Faye.
Okay. Okay. Well, all right, Dante. I change it over to you, bud.
All right. So Jarrell, I disagree with you, bruh. You said that college, you feel like that. I'm sorry. You said that the NFL, you feel like it's a bigger drop off than college, right? See, I think it's totally different. I think that there is a drop off when it comes to the NFL or professional, but they're all professional. They're the best. How many people can play in the world? They're the best out of everybody else. In college, you have a lot of cats that second string that they may not even have be on scholarship. They prefer walk on. And so now, like Trevor Lawrence being out of there, that shows you completely, like how it drops off or whatever. Even though DJ played really good, like you said, we were talking off camera. He didn't play good enough. He did not have control of the team or whatever, and not even from the standpoint of just playing good, but just being the leader that Trevor Lawrence is. But when you're looking at the Cowboys in the Steeler game, the Cowboys almost beat their tails. It went down to the last second, and that was what, third string quarterback. So
Fourth.
um, fourth string. So that shows you that the NFL, you can plug kind of people in because they're all professionals, and I think that they can play a little bit higher level than the people that's in the college level. Um, but at the end of the day, yes, it's I would definitely say that COVID has been wreaking havoc through all of sports. I was telling Jarrell off camera as well. I felt like they should have waited till the spring to start the season. And I know he didn't agree with that, but I was just like, man, it would have been nice just kind of push it back, kind of let COVID run its course. And because we have a lot of people that's being affected. I was trying to find out how many teams, because there was a lot of teams and a lot of players that haven't played, like even down here in our local high school level. I don't know exactly why the kids wasn't playing, but there were some starters that wasn't playing because of they didn't really say why, and I'm assuming that it had to either do with COVID related issues, because I know we've been having a lot of outbreaks in the Manatee County area, but COVID has just been running up and down the football field like a football player, and it's been knocking any and everybody out of the way that got in the way. And it's definitely crazy, and it's definitely changing. But I'm still impressed with what I'm seeing on the field, though. Even though COVID has knocked out people, um, it isn't as bad as it hasn't really ran through football as bad as I thought it would. I thought it would be like real bad because they chose not to do the bubble, or trying to do the bubble was going to be super hard. I think they would have probably had to, maybe I don't even know. They probably would have had to shut down a couple cities just to be able to have players be able to play in the same area because there's just so many people on the football team. But definitely, COVID has not been friendly to sports. um, so the next question, man. So there are a lot of teams doing surprisingly well in the NFL. So for instance, you got uh, the Cowboys. They're not doing as well. I just called them out because that's the real team. Even though they should have beat the Steelers, they should have beat the Steelers today. I was hoping they did because I was like, I don't want to see the Pittsburgh Steelers be undefeated and they only team that's undefeated. I was hoping, and I was playing. I was like, please just give Ezekiel the ball, give Zeke the ball, but they couldn't pull it through. But that was definitely a surprise to kind of see how they're doing. The Vikings, they just got another win. I think they're 3-5. They're doing horrible. But like I said earlier, there's a lot of teams that's doing well. So if you look at the Cardinals are 5-3. It's crazy. I mean, I know a couple years ago when um help me out. What's the quarterback name, Terrell, for the Cardinals?
right now.
Oh, you talking about when Rosen took over?
No, not him. Yes, the new guy from Oklahoma.
Kyler Murray.
Kyrie
Murray.
Murray. Yes, Murray. Yes. So when he first got drafted, everybody was like, "Don't draft him. He too small. Put him at receiver. He might need to play defensive back." Like it was just they were going ham on him. And now this is second season, and they basically almost could have won that game, and they would have been 6-2. And he's doing amazing job. But I definitely know that DeAndre Hawkins that helped them out a lot. And you see the Texans, they're doing horrible. I think they lost again today, so they're like 1-6 or whatever it is. It's 1-5 or whatever. It's horrible. Uh, but I want to talk about the Dolphins, man. They just came out of nowhere. They played the Cardinals today, and they beat the Cardinals. The Dolphins are 5-3. Nuts. What are your thoughts, man? Like, do you think they can do something? I think what the Bills just won today, so it's basically you have what I think the Bills, the Dolphins. and then I
Probably
think the
the Pats
Patriots
and
are,
Jets.
yeah, and the Pats and the Jets they stinking it up. But those are the two teams that are on the top of their division. So what do y'all think, man?
That they happy Tom Brady gone.
Yeah, you're right. Everybody on that side happy Tom Brady gone.
Hey man, it's uh it's nice to see. Um, I think parity is what we all want, so some people say, but then they get mad when there's parity and expect greatness from, people continuously. But I think it's nice to have a change up.
Mm-hmm.
I think it takes a lot of guts to having Ryan Fitzpatrick, aka Fitzmagic, in there, playing well, keeping the team somewhat afloat, and then just on a bye week, inserting Tua. Um, that takes guts, man.
Yeah.
I mean, your team at that time was 3-3. You had just came off of two straight wins, two good
Hmm.
games in which Fitzmagic threw, I think, for over 300 in both of those games. And then you bench him, and I think that takes a lot of guts. Uh, but I also think that that was a gamble in which I trust Brian Flores to do. When I remember, I think it was last year, last game of the season, where they were going up against the Patriots. They beat the Patriots. The Patriots, don't get a first round bye, and they got to play. Obviously, we know they ended up playing and losing. Um, but let's take that out of it and let's think of it from the Dolphins' perspective. Brian Flores could have tucked it in and said, you know what, I'm a tank for Tua. He's probably going to be the number one pick, da 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 da. And they could have lost that game. But after all those trades, Minka Fitzpatrick, all the guys that they traded away during the course of the season, and we thought they were tanking, they ended up finishing. I'm not saying good, but they finished on a high note. And instead of being in a position to draft Tua number one, they had to have a little bit of luck, and Tua ended up falling to them. So they still got the quarterback that they wanted. Um, but the Dolphins look good. Their defense has been really strong. Their offense has shown flashes, but it's just nice to see. To talk a little bit, Dante, about what you were saying. Obviously, we're in a COVID year, but the powerhouses, the Cowboys, the Philadelphia Eagles, you're not seeing them um, as present. It's like, the New York Giants, you're used to the Giants being okay. Eli Manning had them okay, and then they make a push towards the end of the season.
Out of
So you see
nowhere.
teams like that, and it's like,
True.
wow. Um, the other thing I'll point to is like, you look at what happened last week. Minnesota clobbered the Packers. We don't know who a lot of these teams are yet. I know we're halfway through the season, but I think a lot of teams are still trying to figure themselves out. The
Yeah.
one thing that I can say with football in today's world is that there is so much change and turnover within a team on a year to year basis.
Mm-hmm.
And when you lose out on all the preseason stuff, all the off season face to face, and just going through the motions, I think a lot of these guys are still trying to get used to X, Y, and Z. Now, when you say, does the Dolphins have a chance? I think they do. This might be not. I'm not gonna say their best year, but I'm gonna go out on a limb and say this might be their best year to do some damage. And only reason is people don't have tape on Tua. Um, we see what happens. Lamar Jackson slowing down a little bit. Patrick Mahomes almost lost again today. So when teams have film on you, they now it doesn't mean they're going to, but they can put together these game plans based off of tendencies. And right now he doesn't have any. So I think this is the perfect time for him to kind of catch lightning in a bottle. And he's got the arm talent. They have what I would say is a resilient team. and from my understanding, they don't want to tank. So, I'm just gonna go on a limb and just say, hey man, they going to the playoffs. Dolphins
Whoa.
going to the playoffs. Mark it,
Wow.
mark it, mark it.
You know what? I would not if they keep playing the way if they keep playing the way that they're playing now. Yeah, they definitely going. Because I mean, if you look at it, there's nobody there to really compete with them. They so yeah, so the Bills are 7-2, the Dolphins are 5-3, the Patriots are 2-5, and the Jets they ain't win a game yet. So I mean, yeah. So I mean, they don't really nobody don't really see them. But I will say that AFC man, they are they doing it big, man. So you got what Tennessee sitting at 6-2, leading the South. Then you got the North, AFC North. You got the Steelers at 8-0. AFC West, the Chiefs are 8-1, and then the Bills are 7-2. So like they no slouches over there in the AFC, man. Them boys trying to do work. Go ahead,
And
Fade.
True that.
and hey Faye, before you go, just remember there's at least one additional playoff team as of right now, and they're looking to add another one. So they're looking to add 8 teams per league.
Mm.
Wow. I didn't know that. So that'll really make it interesting. Okay. You know what? Knowing with Tua being the quarterback, I'm not surprised. I would have taken Tua just off of this alone. When you go back to when the world found out about him to be a freshman, championship game, down, thrown in, and you go win. T- Tell me that isn't the most. I know it's college and I know the pros is, but tell me that's not the biggest pressure that you could have in your life, in sports. Immense, like to come in and do that, I think any other person might have just crumbled. Like, you got Nick Saban, hey kid, you going in the game, huh? And for him to show up and do that, so that shows you the immense character that he has, and just him going in and saying, I'm going to win this game, or at least put his best foot forward, and not breaking and cracking under that. So I would take him just for that, because now in playoffs and Super Bowls, whatever adversity comes in the game, I know how he's already built. So I'm not even really surprised that he's doing that. This is different. So that's really all I got for the Dolphins. But I want to get you guys' take for the Cowboys. This is something I heard on skipping them talking about. Is Jerry Jones playing for Trevor Lawrence? Or should I say not playing for Trevor Lawrence?
Man, listen, I'm a Cowboys fan, so Dante, I'm a talk, bro. I, I don't know what's going on, but there's a fix on. I know
Yeah.
it sounds like I'm a disgruntled, you know, fan, but I'm watching the game today. I watched the game a few weeks ago, and I look at these ticky tack fouls that's being called on the Cowboys, and it's irritating. There was a roughing the passer in which Ben threw the ball. The guy had his arm up, the arm came down and touched him in the face mask, and they called 15. And then I just watched in the first quarter of the Saints versus the Tampa Bay Bucks. I think it was Cam Jordan. His hand hits Tom Brady's face mask as he's throwing the ball. Now he still has the ball. They didn't call it. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if this is like a, you know, some sort of fix. I don't like conspiracy theorists. I don't do all that stuff. It just something just don't seem right with what's going on with the Cowboys. You have that talent and do absolutely nothing. Something's not right. I don't know what it is, I don't know if they want a new coach. I don't know if they want Trevor. I don't know if they want Justin Fields. I don't know what they want. All I know is it's embarrassing.
But how would they won't even be able to get Trevor because the Jets is well, never mind. The Jets got old boy. I don't know. They might take Trevor because the Jets they ain't won nothing. So the Cowboys ain't gonna be able to beat the Jets because the Jets probably ain't
No.
gonna win a game.
Nah, they probably not gonna win the game. Yeah. The sad thing is, I hope that's not the case because they have a chance to make the playoffs. The Eagles are 3-4. They're
Yeah.
2-7. They're one game behind the leaders in their division.
So you mean to tell me a losing team is going to the playoffs?
I think it happened once. I think it happened once. I can't remember what team it was, but I want to say one team made it and they had a losing record, and it was basically because they won their division.
The real quick, I'm gonna throw it. So, because I don't see any comments, but for anybody in chat, if you guys want to throw a question, comment, or something like that in chat, just let us know, and I'll definitely read it to the guys so we can give you guys our deep thought. So I want to, while we wait for people to put something in chat, what I want to say is like with the Eagles, I didn't think they would be this bad, and it makes me think like your quarterback, he might not be that dude.
They removed the glue from the team. Nick Foles was the glue. I mean, he got them to the Super Bowl
Yeah.
2 times, or to the
Got him,
so
well, almost got him. Uh, I can't remember because he almost beat Chicago that next year in the playoffs, but I can't remember. Something happened on the last play, but I can't remember what it was.
not twice, but one to the Super Bowl, and then the second one he went to the playoffs. But they should have kept him, and they should have got rid of the other quarterback.
I don't envy them in that. That was a hard position to be in.
Yeah,
They didn't want to be a prisoner of the moment when I think they should have been a prisoner of the moment and said, you know, obviously, listen, Carson Wentz had a good year up until he got hurt. But I mean, at the end of the day, you're kind of playing with house money. And, instead of extending Carson Wentz, I think you could have got Nick Foles for less money and you could have got a few more players around him. Um, I, I will say, I'm really frustrated with the footprint of what sports is at this time. I think very little love the sport and most love the money.
Mm,
And I think that leads us to you see all this turnover. You can't even get used to somebody being on your team because
true.
next thing whether they have a good year or a bad year, if they have a good year, they're asking for more money. If they have a bad year, the team's trying to trade them or cut them. Um, you know, when it comes to, oh, it's the back end of this deal. Okay, well, you're making too much money. I'm going to cut you. And I think that's where it's starting to get frustrating for me because, I used to love watching the Cowboys, and you knew the core nucleus of that team was going to be back year in and year out, year in and year out. When the Buffalo Bills went to three straight, it was year in, year out. We ain't going to change anything major. We might try to add some pieces, but I mean, my deep thought is I'm very frustrated with the state of what sports are currently. Um, Nobody's loyal, player or owner, um, but yet money's at an all-time high.
As you saying that, that makes me think of Joe Flacco a couple years ago. Like, you get lucky, like as you know what I mean. Like freaking gets hot, makes a run, wins. happens to be contract year, pay
Yep.
him. Nothing after that.
No,
Nothing after that.
it's
So,
called
Amen.
it's called incentives and bonuses. You get paid to be active on the roster. So you got to try to be active however many weeks that you can be so you can get that money.
true. Cause do you do that again? I know we're not at that level. Cause do you really need? Does Dak really need $40 million a year?
Nope, nope, nope,
He
nope.
don't, but that's if that's what the market say, man. That's what the market say.
But is he the best
And
quarterback? Has he been
but see
good?
that
Sure.
but see this is the thing. The way the NFL works or how they allowed it to move forward, they should have they should have been better about how they gave out money because basically what all they were doing was saying, "Hey, listen, you had a good season. We're going to make you the highest paid
Yep.
quarterback." And then the next year, "Oh,
So and so had.
and then so you just had like you said with the Flacco thing. Flacco, everybody know that he didn't deserve that money. Like to be honest, Ray Lewis basically the defense won that, but he threw the ball a couple times here and there where you're supposed to do. But at the same time, you're a quarterback. It wasn't like he was a receiver that got moved to quarterback. It's like, oh, you're accurate. That's your job. So, but but that's just how they move. But at the same time, I don't blame the players for trying to get their money because at the end of the day, you see players that want to be loyal or they try to be loyal, and the team's like, "Hey, we appreciate you, but your time's up," and so they get burnt, and so now cats is like, "Man, nah, I need to get paid because I don't know when it's gonna be my last game, whether I get hurt or if I get cut." And it's not like it's NBA, it's not the money's not guaranteed. And I think if the money was more guaranteed, then I think you probably wouldn't see um, as many people being disloyal, because they'll be like, "Hey, I'm loyal. I want to stay here, and if you cut me, I'm still getting paid. So it's not like I'm not going to get paid anything." But
But that's what I'm talking about, Dante. I think that's the problem in sports is that players are so money hungry. I you could I mean think about it. How many people go to college and NFL is not guaranteed? So you're risking your body, you're risking your brain, you're risking injury um
Time from your family.
to play a game. When you're talking about the Division 3, the Division 2, the Division 1 AA, that's even smaller as far as who makes it to the pros. And I think you play for the love of the game. And then obviously I'm not saying Tom Brady doesn't love the game and love winning, but he also loves money. And when you can't, in my opinion, make a responsible decision, like I love Dak Prescott and I think he deserves to get money. But I also look at it like, hey Dak, do you need 40? I understand the market says you can get 40, but if you don't take 40, how much are you going to be hurting? We got people out here starving,
That's
and
yes, yes.
you're not going to sign over, you know, 2 million, 3 million, $4 million a year. Now, people bet on themselves and win. If you tell me Joe Flacco, I would have never paid Joe Flacco. I don't care if he won me a Super Bowl. I would not pay Joe Flacco. Why? Because Joe Flacco is not a what Stephen A would say, box office. If it's Tom Brady, I'll give you whatever you want. If it's Drew Brees, I'm gonna give you whatever you want. If it's Aaron Rodgers, I'm gonna give you whatever you want. When you get those guys in the building, that's bringing butts in the seat. Ain't nobody coming to watch a Baltimore Ravens game to see Joe Flacco. Period. Period. That's just how it is. More
you tell
people will more go ahead.
you, I was about to say you tuned in to watch Joe.
Listen, I ain't watching no Joe. More people wanted to watch um, Johnny Manziel when he came in than they
Yeah.
wanted to see Joe Flacco. But I think that's the problem. You getting a prisoner of the moment. Listen, I love Dak Prescott, but at the end of the day, You were a fourth round pick. You panned out. You worked. If I was the Cowboys, listen, injury, no injury. I'm not talking as a fan. I got to find somebody else.
What?
I'm not paying.
What?
I'm not. I'm not. I'm not. And this was pre-injury. I'm not even talking about
Come
injury.
on,
I
Jarrell.
wasn't
Really?
going to pay you $14 million to be the quarterback of my team. Your name is not Patrick Mahomes. I
You,
wouldn't pay
you don't
Deshaun
think
Watson that
Dak
kind
is a
of
low
money.
box office?
Dak's not Boston. No, no.
Listen, that is the most winningest
Wow.
quarterback in the National League right now.
I I don't care what the stats say. I don't. I've watched the games. I am a fan.
I
I'm
am
not
blown away.
paying you $14 million to quarterback my team. There's only a
38?
nope. You would
That's around Aaron Rodgers.
you would be hard pressed for me to give you 35. 35 a year. You'd be hard pressed for me to say 35. That listen, and I love Dak Prescott. I don't think quarterbacks are worth that much money because now look at your team. You have he's making what 30 million this year and
Yeah,
you don't
around.
have no money. Ezekiel Elliott, the dumbest contract that they probably have done
But
in a
see,
very long time.
why does Jerry bend over to give Ezekiel money? See, this what I don't. I hear where you're coming from. What I guess I don't like with the whole situation. I am a Dak fan. I just feel like Jerry, like Dak is the redheaded stepchild. That's what I don't like, and it doesn't seem like
Yeah.
more not on the what you value him, but it's like, oh, I don't really like or he ain't vibing with Dak. So now,
Yeah.
but you give what Zeke goes off to Cabo and whatever. I know he went and trained and stuff, but still, Jerry did everything to make sure that their relationship was good and Zeke got his money. So you can't. Come on,
So,
Jarrell.
so, so let's talk about business real quick, right? So I listen. I was frustrated too, and I still wish that they would have signed Dak over Zeke. But here's the thing, right? It's about cap number. So Dak Prescott was a fourth round draft pick. Ezekiel Elliott was a first round draft pick. Jalen Smith was a second round draft pick. So when you look at the money at the end of Ezekiel's contract, they were already paying him probably I think it was like 8 or 9 million. So if you sign him to an 11 million, $12 million contract, that's a $3 million discount. If you take Dak Prescott, who was making 2 million in his last year, and then you pay him now 40 million, that's a $38 million
Mm,
increase to your cap. So I agree. I wish that they would have signed him over Ezekiel Elliott, but Jerry Jones, which is like most people, they don't want to take that cap hit. If you remember, Russell Wilson was the same way because on that rookie contract, those third round, fourth round, and under guys, those guys aren't making anything against your cap. So you want to keep them there as long as possible because the second you give them money, your cap jumps up 20 million, 15 million. Whereas the first round guys, well, their cap hit is already high.
mm.
So it's not going to go much higher. I'm not going to say it's not going to go much higher, but
Yeah.
it can. I think Baker Mayfield next year goes to like 20 some million. So if Baker Mayfield has a crazy year and you want to give him 35 million, well, your cap's only going to go up 15. Whereas if you give an undrafted guy that comes in and take Baker's spot and you give him 30 million
Yeah.
or 25 million, your cap number is going up 25 million because he's only making league minimum. So as Fade, I'm with you. I wish they would have paid him, but and this is the last thing I'm gonna say, and I got to come in close.
Oh boy.
The Cowboys made the mistake because as a fourth round draft pick, they only had 4 years with him. If they would have signed him after year number two, they could have signed him for $30 million. They didn't want to sign him and they waited. And because they waited, the market said close to 40. And
Yep.
now they got stuck.
So, like I said, Jerry didn't believe in Dak from day one because Dak was replacing his old buddy Tony Romo.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. I agree.
Only thing I say is boo hoo hoo, boo hoo hoo. Listen, you drafted a dude. He balled. He did his job. He went be up and beyond what he was supposed to do. Pay the man. Or if you don't want to pay him, let him go so somebody else can pay him, and then you can get your tail whooped by him. That's what I gotta say.
True that.
Cause that's exactly what's gonna happen. Cause he probably not. They probably gonna release him and let him go his way.
I don't think they're
And
gonna release him.
I the way their season going now, he might as well.
Depends who they get. If they win the Trevor Lawrence sweepstakes, so to say, or any other good quarterback, maybe.
I
But
mean, there's a couple good quarterbacks that's going to be coming out. You got your guy from Texas. That's not bad.
I want
Um,
Justin Fields. I want Justin
you got
Fields.
Justin
does
Fields.
Jerry want to rebuild?
No, no, no. No, no, no. Ro- Rookie contract, very similar player. Very similar player.
Oh, to Dak?
Very similar.
Oh, okay.
And I think possibly a better arm overall.
I probably say better athlete.
Yeah, yeah. Dak is when he has to. Um, Fields, I would say when he wants to.
Interesting.
Yep.
Interesting.
Oh
Okay.
my
Yep.
gosh, the
I
Bucks are
know.
getting their tails blown out. Ah, I don't want to talk to Eric.
The season is over.
Nah, it ain't over. We
Nah.
still going. We still going to the bowl.
Whatever. All right, guys.
Um,
You guys got any final thoughts?
Um, yeah, man. Shout out to my cousin, Dorian. It was his birthday yesterday, and they played my high school team, Manatee. Southeast beat Manatee 25-24. So shout out
no.
shout out to Southeast and to my cousin Dorian on the win. We trained this off season, and I told him they had no shot. they they had no shot to beat them, and they came into Manatee, they came into the Hurricane, and they beat them. So shout out to Southeast.
We just talked about this last week that they didn't have a shot.
Yep, I know. It blew my mind. It blew my mind. I was sitting there watching the game. I was like, "Are you serious? Let's go. They
Damn.
can't win this game. They won."
Oh, well, I don't have anything, Fabe. We appreciate any and everybody who tuned in. And again, if you catch it afterwards, we appreciate y'all too. Um, please subscribe. Tune in when we are live every Sunday night. Um, and we're going to keep it lit, man. We're going to keep it lit each week.
What kind of fella?
Right, right. All right, everybody. Thank you again, as always, for tuning in. And we will catch you guys next week. And oh, yeah, I got one more thing for you. LeBron